On December 8, 1976, a member of the production crew of the television show The $6 Million Man were filming scenes for the Carnival of Spies episode at the Pike, and was moving what was thought to be a mannequin, and its arm broke off, exposing the skeleton and muscle tissue. They realized this was the mummified remains of a human being, and the police were called, and the corpse was taken to the Los Angeles coroner's office. The remains were identified as Elmer McCurdy, an outlaw from Osage Hills, who was a bank and train robber who was killed in a shootout with police in 1911. On December 9th, the coroner concluded that he died of a gunshot wound to the chest. The body was completely petrified, covered in wax and white phosphorus paint. Tests showed the presence of arsenic in the tissue, which was a component of embalming fluid until the 1920s, which helped them to pinpoint a timeline of McCurdy's life. Tests also revealed that he had tuberculosis from working in the mines. He also had bunions and scars. The bullet that killed McCurdy was removed during his original autopsy in 1911, but the bullet jacket was found and was determined to be a gas check, which were used from 1905 to 1940. When a 1924 penny and a ticket to 140 West Pike sideshow and Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime were found in McCurdy's mouth, investigators contacted the current owner, Dan Sonny, and he confirmed the remains were Elmer McCurdy. After McCurdy was shot, he was taken to Johnson Funeral Home in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, where his body went unclaimed. The undertaker embalmed and dressed the body and stored it in the back of the funeral home. The undertaker and owner refused to bury or release the body until he was paid for his services, but the body continued to go unclaimed. So he decided to exhibit McCurdy to make money by dressing him up in street clothes, placed a rifle in his hands, and stood it up in the corner of the funeral home, and charged a nickel for visitors to see the bandit who wouldn't give up. The bandit became a popular attraction and attracted the attention of carnival promoters, but the owner of the funeral home refused to sell the body. Then in 1916, a man claiming to be McCurdy's long-lost brother from California had gotten permission to claim the body for burial. So Mr. Johnson released the body to the alleged brother and his friend, who said they were going to put the body on a train to San Francisco, but it was shipped to Kansas instead. The two men were in fact James and Charles Patterson from Great Patterson carnival shows. After Charles had seen the embalmed body in the funeral home, the two of them concocted a scheme to get the body and featured it in their carnival show titled The Outlaw Who Would Never Be Captured Alive, until 1922, when the Pattersons sold their operation to Louis Sonny. Louis Sonny used McCurdy's corpse in his Museum of Crime show, which featured wax figures from famous outlaws. The corpse was part of a sideshow called Trans-American Foot Race in 1928. In 1933, the corpse was lent to Dwayne Esper for a short time and placed in the lobby of theaters as a dead dope fiend to promote his film titled Narcotic. Esper claimed the man killed himself while surrounded by police after robbing a drugstore to support a drug habit. By this time, the skin on McCurdy's body had shriveled up and hardened and reduced his body to the size of a child's, and Esper explained this away by telling people that the skin deterioration was proof of the man's drug abuse. After Sonny's death in 1949, the corpse was placed in a warehouse. Then in 1964, Sonny's son, Dan, lent the corpse to a filmmaker, and it eventually appeared in the movie She Freak in 1967. In 1968, Dan Sonny sold the corpse along with other wax figures for $10,000 to the owner of the Hollywood Wax Museum, Spoonie Singh. Singh had bought the figure for two Canadian men who exhibited them at a sideshow in Mount Rushmore, and while the corpse was there, it sustained some windstorm damage. The tips of his ears, along with fingers and toes, were blown off. The Canadian men eventually returned McCurdy back to Singh, who eventually sold the body to Ed Learsh, the owner of the Pike, an amusement park in Long Beach, California. It was featured in the Laugh in the Dark funhouse exhibit, which is where it was found in 1976. The story of Elmer McCurdy's remains and its journey became featured in newspapers, TV, and radio. After several funeral homes offered to bury his remains free of charge, officials turned them down so they could give living relatives a chance to claim the body. Eventually, Fred Olds, who represented the Indian Territory posse of Oklahoma Westerns, convinced officials to let them bury the body in Oklahoma. He was finally buried in the Boot Hill section of Summit View Cemetery in Guthrie, Oklahoma, next to another outlaw named Bill Doolin. 2 feet of concrete was poured over the casket to ensure the body would never be stolen. If you enjoy hearing creepy stories, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.